What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm MoedotJ and we are locked in. This is the recap of Asaf on Netflix, episode 4 of our 31 days at Netflix. And if you've been keeping up, we know that Asaf is working overtime. He's leveling up in a corporation or the system that he doesn't even want to be in. But it looks like there's no end goal in sight and everything just piling up on him. Right when he makes a right, trouble's there. Make a left, trouble is there. Before we jump into this and we break down episode 4, if you like this kind of content, you got to go through a thriller. You got to figure out what is your next step. Then Asaf on Netflix might be the show for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn in that notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're on that road to 75,000 subscribers. This is 31 days of Netflix. Let's jump into it. This is Asaf, episode 4, the halfway mark. Starting off episode 4, it's a little flashback. Now we know that they found Captain's body. And now Lieutenant is talking to Captain, asking him what does he know. At this point, we do know that both of them are working with Paya and Konya, and they both got packages. We're about to find out the story about how the little boy, Atlas number 2, aka Mertz, ended up with Asaf. Nasu calls up Lieutenant, and he's like, let me talk to you, because at this point, they're trying to figure out who's going against them. Obviously, we know it was the captain because the captain was trying to bring down this whole organization. Now, when Lieutenant showed up, he was supposed to show up by himself. But Nasu says, okay, you're brave. But he knows that he didn't show up by himself. And also, up on the hill, there's someone looking through his scope. That's because the lieutenant, he done brought a sniper with him because he wanted some protection for himself, because you really can't trust these guys. So now the lieutenant has a dead sniper on his hand. He's going to have to figure out how he's going to cover that up. But also, the reason he's in here and the reason he's still alive is because he's connected to social services. This is how they're going to get Atlas number 2, so he needs to still be alive. And as I mentioned, no one really gets out of the game. Now, if running around for Nasu isn't enough, Asaf gets a phone call. Well, Murat gets a phone call and Asaf is with him, and he's already talking about how he's deficient and just being a driver isn't enough. Well, they get a phone call to the hospital. His brother's there and his mother's there. So once Asaf arrives, he finds out that his dad is actually in the hospital. And Asaf's mom, all she's doing is shaming him. From the first time we seen him when he showed up to the house when they're trying to knock the walls down, comparing him to his brother, she's saying he's worthless. But little does she know, he's running around the city trying to provide for himself and for his own family. But she's like, you couldn't even give your father blood. If she knew what he was doing, then she would have a little of an understanding. The next day, Asaf gets back up and he has to go and talk to the contractor who he drove the car through the door. Now the contractor is saying the same thing. You never killed anybody. I never killed anybody. You buried some bodies. I buried some bodies. But this is just the way the game is. But right now, he's stepping down because the system is telling him that since Asaf came over here, you're now in charge. So this whole construction zone, which used to be a shopping center, turned into an apartment, Asaf is in charge of, and he doesn't even know. But that's how the system is set up. Asaf knows that he needs to boss up, so he goes back to the dealership and he's like, listen, give me my ring back, and what I'm gonna do is take some collateral. He takes his debit card machine, so you can't get any payments until he gets his card fixed, and he's picking up his ring that he initially used as collateral and said the system is telling us to work this way. So now the guy at the dealership, he's doing whatever Asaf says. Everyone's running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Asaf just went back and he's talking to Atlas to get him about a child protective services. The journalist is actually talking to Lieutenant. She's talking about she's been in contact with Captain but hasn't heard anything about him. He's missing at the moment. Now Lieutenant, he's playing it cool. Yeah, we're going to be looking into him, but it's an open investigation. We can't really tell you anything. Her and Asaf did have that plan where he pretended to be the captain, where we found out about the informant, but that went all bad for the informant. Now this is a flashback because they're showing the captain talking to Atlas, and this is how Atlas number 2 ended up with the captain before he got in Asaf's vehicle. He's actually asking him, hey, how did you end up over there? Were you in a black vehicle? And he shows a vehicle, the black Escalade. Now you remember the captain, he came and talked to Asaf once he got released because Asaf tore up the Escalade. So he pieced it together. He's like, wait a minute, you were there at the accident? So Atlas number 2 knows everything that happened. Asaf does need a car at this moment because his vehicle isn't ready to go. And now the guy at the auto mechanic shop, he's like, listen, This was found in your trunk. It's the gun. Now, this gun is from the informant that he was talking to before they unalived him. And since he doesn't have a vehicle, they give him an all-silver G-Wagon. Asaf does finally keep his promise and he goes to pick up Atlas. But when he gets there, Sema and her boyfriend, aka the lawyer, they're both there. So Atlas, he sees his dad, they get to talking. Asaf walks over there and the lawyer's talking about, man, you need to sign that, man. I don't want no problems. Asaf told Sema, I ain't got no time for no problems. Whatever needs to be done, let's take care of it. But you can tell that something is off with the lawyer and he really wants Asaf about the way. Rüya meets up with Asaf after he leaves his son and they go to a club and he's wondering, what the hell are we doing at this club? Now, initially they don't let him in, but she comes back and get him in. He's wondering why are they here, but they're about to meet with an informant. This is going to be good because they can't be wired up. It'd be hard to hear if anything is said that someone could be listening to because we know the system is everywhere. That's Pew and Kanye. But when they get here, things doesn't go according to plan. The party is jumping, the music is good, no one's drinking anything, at least these two aren't, but they kind of get separated in the crowd. As they get separated in the crowd, he's looking around, Rüya, Rüya! He's calling out her name because he just got a phone call. Now this phone call is saying, how many more people need to die before you fix this? And he's like, what the hell? So he looks around and the guy, Alice is the guy that was at the schoolyard messing with Atlas #1 when he picked him up, talking about we can go get something to eat. So since he can't get over to Rüya and he sees that this guy has a knife, he pulls out the gun that he got because security didn't pat him down and this gun was in his trunk. He started shooting out the lights. So everyone in the building will start running and Rüya, she is saved. Well, temporarily. When we get outside, this is where things get a little crazy. Well, Rüya, she starts talking to Asaf. She's like, wait a minute. You knew the captain was unalive this whole time and you didn't say anything. Of course, he can't say anything. He was in his trunk and he ain't trying to go down for this. But while they're talking, he hugs her and he's comforting her. The lieutenant shows up. And remember, the lieutenant was getting questioned by her earlier in the episode. So what is he doing? He's flipping it back on her. And now she's under arrest for the unaliving of the captain because she was the last one to call. And the captain left that voice message talking about he has a package. The lieutenant is doing everything he has to do because Nasu already said, you work for us, we tell you when you stop working. The same goes for Asaf. Now Asaf does have that G-Wagon. He went to pick up Atlas #2. So now he's asking Atlas #2 some questions and Atlas was in the vehicle when he got in that wreck. And we also find out that Atlas seen that lieutenant was the one that unalived captain. So when lieutenant comes out the building because he works with social services, Atlas #2 is saying, go, 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 because he doesn't want to get caught. Now, Asaf, he's thinking, should I leave or should I stay? Because he works with the system too. But he says the hell with it. He punches off. The lieutenant, he puts out a call. He lets everyone know we're looking for a gray G-Wagon. It has the package. Basically, it's an Amber Alert. There's a little boy in there and Asaf, he stole the boy. So he's on the run again, man. He's truly a driver and he's getting no days off. All right, there you go. To recap of episode 4, day 12 of our 31 days of Netflix. Asaf is on the run again and there's really not much to even ask because you got to continue to stay on the road. Now, are you going this hard for Atlas #2 or are you trying to get this done to save your son, the original Atlas? Let me know because at this point, we don't even know what Asaf's end game is. He's just trying to survive, to be honest. I'm MoedotJ. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for episode 5 recap. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.